continuing on the meditation. Again, the whole idea is the idea is to understand the power of our soul, which is basically hidden in us, and the power of the brain, as we discussed. Right, it's already our 7th or 8th class. So for all of 3 of you, it's kind of new, but you get to feel a bit when you meditate. You understand that we have in us a certain amount of energy corresponding to our soul. The more you're in touch with your soul, the more energy you have. And this soul is very real. It's in us, it moves in us. Sometimes we have feelings, we don't know where it comes from. We have dreams, we don't know where it comes from. We have visions, we have intuitions, we have different senses that develop, like a sixth sense, and we have to learn to be aware of it. It's in there. It's aware. It's your body is a host for your soul, and the soul, we have to learn to trust what we feel inside. So here I want to go actually a little bit deeper. Go straight into the book Sha'arei Kedusha, which is a book because the Gates of Holiness from Rabbi Chaim Vital, where basically we teach you how to achieve prophecy. Anybody interested? Mm-hmm. So we are Mamlechet Kohanim Egoi Kadosh, a nation of priests and a holy people, meaning we are supposed to be, so to speak, the prophets for the nation. We're here to send a message. We're here to tell people, help people like become more in love with each other, more connected to each other, more connected to spirituality. And we used to have schools of prophecy with millions of Jews trying to become prophets. Now, it's not an easy task. Today, there's not so much prophecy. Rav Kook says actually prophecies is coming back, or it has come back. But Ruach HaKodesh has always been here. Ruach HaKodesh is that set of tremendous clarity when you can see things in a way that other people cannot necessarily see. The more pure you are, the more clarity you have. And I wanted to read you a piece that describes a little bit that idea of Ruach HaKodesh and your soul, and how people used to work on achieving prophecy of Ruach HaKodesh through meditation. So listen to what he says. It's in the 5th gate of the 3rd chapter. He says like that. The separation of the neshama. Is there any word you don't understand? You can ask me. So my neshama is the soul. The separation of the neshama, which is mentioned in the book that deal with prophecy and Ruach HaKodesh, is not an actual separation between the body and the neshama, as in the case of sleeping. When you sleep, your soul literally moves out of your body, and that's why you have the impurity of the hands, like you become a little bit dead, 1/60th of death. So it's different. For the prophecy is not a dream as all the dreams. It is the Ruach HaKodesh that rests upon a man when he's fully awake and when his neshama is inside his body. The idea of the separation is that his sechel, the mind, which is different than the neshama, right? It's the way you think, is cleared from any other thoughts, and his imaginative power, which is drawn from his fundamental living nefesh, will cease imagining, thinking, and contemplating mundane affairs as if his body, his nefesh, his soul, left his body. Then the imaginative power of his thoughts will start imagining, and it will produce an image as if it ascends through the roots of his soul to the lofty worlds and to his lofty origin. All the images of the lights will be engraved in his mind as if he can actually see them as he sees this mundane world, although he cannot really see them. Right? Like, meaning there's a whole world, which we speak the third eye. There's a whole world out there, and you have to enter that world with the power of your mind, the power of imagination. Once you enter that world is very real. We don't learn to trust it because we think it's not physical, so therefore it's not real. But there's a whole world out there around us, full of forces, spirits, angels, constantly. We're just not attuned to it because we live very physical life. We're not paying attention. right? That's the whole idea, that the more you pay attention to spiritual forces, the more you're prone to their power. The more you believe in Ain Hara and its power, the more you get trapped into it. So we have to be careful. It's the one who has the most spiritually affected are the most spiritual people. Or this is the spiritual side and the non-spiritual, the negative spiritual side. So you have to be careful. Then he will think and prepare himself to receive light from the 10 Sfirot, from the place to which the root of his soul is connected. He will be prepared to raise the 10 Sfirot to the Ein Sof, which the light from Hashem, and from the Ein Sof he will draw light and bestow it on the Sfirot. Right? So he's imagining all that. He's activating what's happening in the spiritual world, so to speak. When he bestows the light, the Sfirot will rejoice and illuminate his soul, which is connected to them by this light. He will direct the light downwards from stair to stair until the light and the abundance will reach his nefesh, his soul of the mind, and from there to his living nefesh and its imaginative power. There, the imaginative power will convert the images into a worldly image, because we can only understand things from this world, right? And even in your mind, you will not see things that comes from this world to understand. Otherwise, if you are shown something that's not from this world, you're not going to know what that is, right? So it has to be. There, the imaginative power will convert the images into a worldly image. Thus, he will comprehend them as if he saw them with his own eyes. Sometimes, the imaginative power will prevent the descending light as a speaking. Will present the descending light as a speaking angel. In these cases, the angel will be perceived by one of the 5 known senses of the imaginative power that are part of the living soul, as we already know. So just like the 5 senses on the physical level, the only reason you have 5 senses on the physical level is because you have 5 senses on the spiritual level. You have spiritual eyes, you have a spiritual nose, you have spiritual ears, and a spiritual mouth. And that's why you have them physically. But we are only trained to use them physically. You can use them on the spiritual level. You never trained. It's like someone who he speaks, but he never learned how to sing. Well, you have the power to sing. It's there, but you never used it. Yeah.
So the light of Ein Sof comes down and illuminates the Sfirot, and I render that light as an image in front of my eyes.
Right. I imagine that and I make it happen. I allow it to happen. That light comes into the Sfirot, and the Sfirot is connected to the root of my soul, and I bring that light to my soul. You see, when Master Mike makes the meditation, he speaks about, you imagine the light coming from the back, and whatever, the whole way to do it, and it's the same thing. It's the idea of you're in control, like in the placebo. It's not that you're just a passenger in your body. If you're just a passenger in your body, then just whatever happens, but you can be the captain of your ship, the captain of your brain, the captain of your soul. You connect your soul, you choose what happens to you, right? It's not just I'm a passenger, then I got hit by a car, I got this, this happens to me, I got sick. No, you choose what happens to yourself. God gave you a soul, and that soul is divine, it's super powerful. You have the ability to take away the forces from the outside, right? Stopping the effect of others. Constantly we're bombarded by thoughts from other people, by negativity, by things that are around us. You can block all that. But if you just look at yourself as a passenger, as a victim, then, he says this about me, or this happens to me, he looks at me like that. So you have to not allow this to happen. We have our shield. Our shield is our soul. Our soul can be the source, the power that push all that. Hey, I don't want this in my life. My life have God. That's my life. And if you have that life, you live with God. This is what it means to live with God. It's that you're not just you bring God. The sukkah is the best time to practice that meditation. The sukkah is like you come in the sukkah and you choose to live with God. You create that cube, 6, right, right, left, right, 4 sides and down. You create that cube where you live with God for 7 days, as if you're married, Sheva Bachot, right? Yom Kippur was the marriage, the second marriage with God, so to speak. We make up from the Chet HaEgel, and Sukkot, we celebrate for 7 days, we live with God. So you come in that space and you decide, okay, how, if I was incarnated with God, what would I do? So we go there and you try to imagine you're there with God. It's awesome. Right? And speak to him like Adam Hashem was speaking to Hashem. Okay. So then he will see, hear, smell, speak by using his worldly senses. Then the physical is activated. As it was written in Shmuel, the Ruach of the Lord speaks by me, his word is upon my tongue. For this light materializes thanks to the worldly senses. In other cases, his prophecy will be perceived by the 5 spiritual senses of the imaginative power. However, all this is possible only when the imaginative power separates itself entirely from the worldly thoughts, as we mentioned before. We learned that the prophecy is similar to the dream. The nefesh of the mind, of the sechel, leaves the body and ascends stair by stair until it reaches the top, where it looks and observes. Then it descends and bestows light to his living soul, which contains the imaginative power, where the images are created. And when a man wakes from his sleep, his nefesh remembers the images thanks to the preserving power of the memory power that can be found in the living nefesh, living soul, as was taught by the natural science. They were also studying biology. So the difference between prophecy and a dream is that in the former, the soul leaves the body, whereas in the latter, the soul... is that in the former, the prophecy, the nefesh, the soul stays in the body, whereas the latter is, for the dream, the soul leaves the body. However, there are 2 types of prophecy.
So both are types of prophecy?
No, he said, however, there's 2 types of prophecy. This is described now 2 types of prophecy. The first is the prophecy of the prophets. When the emanated light descends to materialize by the 5 inner senses, meaning he gets that the light comes, the message comes, and he have that experience. Then the external senses withdraw and collapse. So if you see someone having a kind of epileptic experience, someone who watched prophecy had a kind of epileptic experience, and it's like the spiritual thing is like electricity, right? It's so intense, the spiritual thing, it comes from the spiritual world, that your body is not able to handle it, until your soul. Okay, but that's when you know someone achieved prophecy, except Moshe Rabbeinu, who could do it without falling. Okay.